Today we're taking a look at these NCAAF matches, which are happening on Saturday, November 5, 2022, and giving you our match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. And if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. By becoming a member of the High Stakes Patreon, you will have access to our best team picks, total picks, parlay picks and much more. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Louisiana Tech Bulldogs vs Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. Louisiana Tech is much better than their 2-6 record shows. According to the ESPN Football Power Index, the Bulldogs' strength of schedule has been the most difficult amongst all CUSA teams, including a 48-20 loss to Clemson on the road earlier this season, a game that the Bulldogs only trailed 13-6 at halftime. Unfortunately, the Bulldogs are coming off a bad loss to FEU on the road in overtime, but they are now back home, where they are 3-0 against the spread this season. Louisiana Tech also knows it must win out to become bowl eligible, which is not impossible. This is a tough matchup for MTSU, based on the strengths and weaknesses of both teams. Louisiana Tech's biggest flaw is stopping the run, but MTSU is terrible at running the ball. The Bulldogs also have a lethal offensive passing attack, which is a weak area for the Blue Raiders defense. I have to take the home dog here. Our team pick is Louisiana Tech plus 2.5 points. On September 24, MTSU went on the road to beat the Miami Hurricanes 45-31 to improve to 3-1 on the season. The Blue Raiders did not handle the success well and dropped their first 3 conference games by double digits against UTSA, UAB, and Western Kentucky. After a bye week, MTSU earned its first conference win 24-13 at UTEP. The Blue Raiders outgained the Miners 378-292 in total yardage in the win. Louisiana Tech is on a 3-game losing streak coming off back-to-back overtime losses. The most recent setback came 42-34 to Florida International in a double overtime game that was tied 27-27 after regulation. The Bulldogs won the total yardage battle 440-378 despite the loss. The Louisiana Tech Bulldogs are coming off of a tough double overtime loss on the road against the Florida International Panthers, as the Bulldogs gave up 42 points on 378 total yards. They were doing well on the running game as they are averaging 4.5 rushing yards per attempt right now. Their biggest issue was the fact they were unable to stop the passing game, as they allowed Florida International to go 31 of 48 passing for 321 yards with 3 touchdown passes. Their offense has been doing well as they are scoring 31.6 points per game on 398.1 total yards so far, and are really depending on the production from senior quarterback Parker McNeil, as he is completing 60.2% of his passes for 1,623 yards, with 15 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. It makes sense as he has a great connection with sophomore wide receiver Tree Harris, as he has 15.4 yards per reception with 7 touchdown grabs. Defensively, they are giving up the second most points per game, with 39.6 points per game, while also allowing 476.3 total yards. They need to figure out how to stop the opposing running game, as they are giving up 239.3 rushing yards per game throughout the season. Both offenses have been able to score points, and even with this being more than a point per minute, I really like the over in this game. Neither defense has been stepping up as in their last 4 games. Middle Tennessee is giving up 33.5 points per game, while Louisiana Tech is allowing 40.5 points per game. Cunningham and McNeil have the ability to dominate against weaker defenses and throw the football with around a 2-1 touchdown to interception ratio this season, while the Blue Raiders defense can create short fields for their offense as they are getting takeaways. The over has hit in each of the last 4 Blue Raiders games following a win, as well as in the Bulldogs' last 8 conference games. Go with over 63.5 points in this game. Oklahoma Sooners vs Baylor Bears. The Bears have won 4 of their last 6 games and 2 of their last 3 road games. They are very good offensively, scoring more than 35 points per game thanks to a balanced defense that can beat opponents through the air and on the ground. Expect them to play well offensively in this game because the Sooners have been terrible defensively. They are one of the worst teams in the country against the run, and their pass defense isn't much better, with the team giving up close to 300 passing yards per game in their last 3 games, and will have a hard time slowing down the Bears. The Sooners have lost 3 of their last 5 games and 2 of their last 3 home games. Even though they have played well offensively, they will struggle in this game because they are one-dimensional offensively, relying heavily on their ground game to pick up yards. The Bears have done a great job against the run this season and will stack the box and force Gabriel to beat them with his arm. But their pass defense is also very good, with the team holding opponents under 230 passing yards per game in their last 3 games, so expect them to keep Oklahoma's offense in check. Go with the Bears to cover the spread. Take the Baylor Bears plus 3.5 points. The Bears followed up their 2-game losing streak by winning their last 2 games. They will try to keep the momentum going with a win over the Sooners, which will give them their 3rd win in a row and 5th win in their last 7 games. Baylor is averaging 38.4 points per game. They are throwing for 254.8 yards and rushing for 201.5 yards per game. Blake Shapen completed 63% of his passes for 211 yards and 1 touchdown in the win over the Red Raiders. Richard Reese had 36 carries for 148 yards and 3 touchdowns, while Gavin Holmes had 5 catches for 77 yards. Baylor has played well defensively, giving up 23.3 points per game. They gave up 17 points in their last game and will need a similar effort if they want to get the win. The Sooners are playing well at the moment and come into this game on a 2-game winning streak. They will try to keep the momentum going with a win over the Bears, which will give them their 3rd win in a row and 4th win in their last 7 games. Oklahoma is averaging 33 points per game. They are throwing for 236.9 yards and rushing for 217.5 yards per game. Dylan Gabriel completed 58% of his passes for 148 yards and 1 touchdown in the ugly win over the Cyclones. Eric Ray had 20 carries for 101 yards and 1 touchdown, while Jaleel Farouk had 4 catches for 74 yards and 1 touchdown. Oklahoma has struggled defensively, giving up 28.8 points per game. They gave up 13 points in their last game and will need to keep it up if they want to win this game. Both these defenses are run by defensive-minded head coaches. Dave Aranda and Brett Venables have put out successful defenses in their time as coordinators, but this group of kids are proving that the Big She can't have defense narrative is tired and overplayed. Again, the Bears and the Sooners boast high national rankings in defensive statistics and will face each other's struggling offenses. Baylor can stop the run, while OU has had success forcing interceptions, especially in winning moments, like their win against Iowa State. 2 teams whose offenses have fallen from grace, but are still more than capable to run down the field when needed. I think 61.5 is too high in a defensive struggle for Baylor and Oklahoma. Take the under 61.5 points.